Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. I'm Rick Rittman, your hardworking mortgage guy, and I've been in mortgages and real estate for over 34 years. I've helped over 40 or 5,200 folks finance their homes. My team and I believe in custom tailored loans, not the one size fits all approach. We believe there is a best mortgage for you, and believe we are the team to deliver it. And we're recording today on Riverside, so I am really fortunate to have Scott Malcolm, and he is a tremendous real estate agent out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And this isn't the only thing I think is just phenomenal about Scott, but Scott has figured out what most agents tell me they are struggling with, and that is how to control your time so you're not working all the time. Scott, thanks so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you as well.
And you're with EXP Realty, correct?
Yep, I've been with EXP now for 3 years. Yep.
Awesome. And or what did you do before real estate?
Hmm.
Where were you born? Where were you raised? What'd you do?
Uh, yeah, a little bit about the background of me. I was born in Annapolis. I think probably 4 or 5 years after that, when my parents moved up to Madison, Wisconsin, spent some time in Madison and then in Fort Wayne, back to Madison and back to Fort Wayne. One stint in Akron, Ohio for a little while as I was growing up. But I ended up going from third, fourth grade all the way up. I've been in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So
Okay.
yeah, before that, I went to undergrad school at Ball State, business degree, marketing, sales, and promotion aspect. And I went out into the world for a couple 3 years. I had I don't know, there had a number of different jobs, but um, worked for about 3 years, and then I went back to graduate school in architecture. So I got 3 years more in graduate work of architecture at Ball State again because they had a top where they were fourth in the country when I went back to go to that program as a graduate school student. So got out of that and ended up working for an architect out of Muncie. They had a location in Annapolis as well. This is way back in probably 89, 88, 1988,
I don't
89.
know why. That doesn't seem that long ago.
I know for me and you it doesn't at all, but for everybody that I'm around, 30 and 40-year-olds, it does. Um, but anyways, I found my way. Eventually, I worked my way into real estate. I don't know how it ever happened. It's a long story, but I found myself marrying the business degree with the architecture degree and then put those together, and it worked out beautiful in real estate. And the first year I tried real estate, I made more money I ever made relatively. And it was fun. It was enjoyable. So I thought, I'm just going to keep doing this. So here I am, 31 years doing it, 28 years with one company, and just the last 3 years started with EXP. So it's been a really cool ride. Lots of things I've learned. So
Yeah, obviously that long in the business, you've learned a bunch, and I've got to think having that architectural degree makes a
mm,
huge difference and really helps you in
it does.
real estate.
Yeah, you know how things are put together. You know how things are built. You don't walk into a house that has an old farmhouse that has a hump in the floor and the second floor and think it's going to fall down. You understand the structure of it. You understand what it is. So I
Yeah,
think really what it does too is the inspection process. Everybody hates the inspection process. They don't all hate it, but a lot of them do. And that's an easy part for me. That's what I, don't specialize in, but I do. I mean, when it comes to the inspection aspect of a house, how they're put together and how they're built, I can walk a client through off the cliff of a lot of being scared a lot on a lot of issues because I understand how they're put together. So that works out pretty well. So
yeah,
yeah, it does come in. I think it also comes into play when I've done a lot of new construction, hundreds and hundreds of build jobs. I don't know if hundreds, but I've certainly got 120, 30, 40 build jobs in my belt. Some from scratch, some at spec stage or different stages out. So that all is easy to come through with too and understand how to explain to a client what we're going to do and how we're going to go through the process. So it's been a
yeah,
cool
that's
journey. It's
huge.
been pretty neat. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an option when you can't find
I
what you
would think.
want. Let's look at new construction. So
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, I spent 11 years in new construction with a big
hmm,
builder here in town, the Estridge Companies.
yeah,
And so I think it helps, but I think that architectural background seems like to me that'd be a huge help, as would the new construction helping
yeah.
if somebody needs to go that way. But even on a listing, how does it help you on a listing when you go into somebody's house? I'm assuming it helps even on a listing. It helps
Yeah.
both ways, both sides.
I mean, I think what I look at is, I built 9 spec homes myself too. I didn't build any of them, but I financed 9 spec homes from scratch up back in the day. Um, and at the first couple of them, I picked out everything. I picked out doorknobs, hinges, I mean, all the way through the entire process, all the process you go through. And I know the builder I was with, I'm the finance guy, you're the builder, you build it, we'll split the profits. So I wanted to be, from my architecture background, I wanted to be involved in some of the building processes in the first two or three. And then after that, I'm done. You do what you do. But you would give you a book. Here's a book, pick out hinges. And you'd go into the book and there'd be 16 pages of knobs and hinges. So from, $5, $6 a piece, maybe for a hinge or for a doorknob, really cheap, $16 ones, all the way up to 50, 60, $80 for doorknobs. It's ridiculous. And so you realize the quality levels. So I can walk into an existing house right now, grab a doorknob and tell you kind of where that stands, by how it turns. I can feel
Right.
quality of that, or the not the quality, or the mid range of that, or the cheapness of that. And that's true with all the product lines you see in the entire house. So people would come to me and say, look, I have a ranch sitting here. I have a two-story sitting here, and this thing is more expensive than this thing, and they're the same size, same square footage. How can
Right.
that be? Well, I can tell you how that is.
Yeah.
There's a lot more expensive to build ranches, a lot more of a foundation and a lot more
Yes.
of a roof line, and so people don't get it. But that's from all the background you have in architectural world. I think that's really where that comes into analyze houses. What if I'm going to sell your house, or if I'm going to help you buy a house? I can kind of analyze the house and what it is that I'm actually helping you look at. What are you actually seeing? Because we do it every day, and most people don't do it every day. I mean, they do it once every four,
Right.
5, 6 years, or whatever it is, and they're not used to being in this game. So they look upon us as professionals to help guide them in that process. And so the more you can bring to the table on information, help them make a better decision, the more comfortable they feel, the more they trust you. So,
Yep. And you've done
yeah,
it. You said you've been in the business for 31 years.
yep.
So you have a great background. You've probably sold thousands of homes, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
And
we're in there. We're close. Yeah, we're definitely in
yeah,
there.
that's phenomenal. And that puts you in an elite company, right? I mean, there's not a lot of people who've done that. And I'm
Yeah,
I'm guessing even less in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
yeah. Well, you know what? Though I look at it's a whole other thing we can talk about today. I look at it as almost an embarrassment, actually.
How come?
I'm gonna throw a twist into you here. Um, so I will start with this. I'll start with we I look at this industry as really one of the coolest industries to be in, right? We're helping people move into homes where they're going to raise children, have families, they're going to cry, they're going to laugh, they're going to do all this personal stuff in a home. It's really personal. And we get to help them go, achieve that, build them or sell them and buy new ones for them, help them through the process. And on the other hand, this is the worst business to be in. I've said that a million times. This is the best business being because you get that gratification of what you're really trying to sell. I'm not selling pens. I'm not selling
Right.
bottles. I'm selling homes. It's a big ticket item. It's a lot of cost, and it's an emotional situation for most people when they live in those homes. So on the other side, it's the worst business to be in. So spending all these years with one company, and I ended up managing. They had four offices. They had about 120, 30 agents, and they had four offices that they had. And I ended up managing two of those, and one just briefly for a year. But managing those offices and watching my agents, 14, 15 agents, 12 to 16 agents, somewhere in there, go out and help people do what we just said, do the coolest thing ever, is help them get into a home, watch them work every night and every weekend. That's the worst part of this
Yeah.
business is the time that you put in to exchange to get the money.
Yes.
Everybody exchanges time for money, no matter what job you're in. Most jobs are 8 to 5. 8 to 5,
Right.
I exchange that amount of time based, and sometimes it's 7 to 6 or whatever, but it's basically that time frame. And sometimes you have shift hours and they do different things. But people don't say you don't go to a job and say, hey, the normal job hour here is 16 hours a day. Okay, that's just the way we do it, 16 hours, and you're going to do most of that from the afternoon all the way to the evening 9 o'clock, and you're going to do most of that on the weekends. And nobody would like, well, that's cool. I'll take that job. So they don't, and there's no insurance, and there's no pay scale, and there's nothing. There's nothing there to protect you. You just got to go after it. So I think the worst part of the job is the fact that I would watch my big agents, um, and big, in Fort Indiana's 12, 15 million, 18 million. You're a big dog. You're making big money. Watch those people, get burned out. I mean, at one point or another, 5, 6, 8 years in, whatever it is, everybody reaches a burnout level. I mean, because really, we work when the public doesn't work.
Right.
We do. They all go to work most of them 8 to 5, and then
Yep.
at 5 o'clock they get home, they feed the kids or whatever they're going to do, change clothes, and then they want you to come over and look at their house 7:30, or they want to go look at houses at 7 or 7:30, especially in the summertime. So that whole process just pulls people, agents right out. They gotta be available whenever the client wants to be available. And usually that's nights, and then the weekends are not working. They're not going to work on the weekend sometimes. Most of them
Right.
aren't. You're going to work Saturday, and you can't make a living with one client. You got to have multiple clients at a time. You're shuffling 4, 5, 6 people around, and you're trying to accommodate Monday night, Tuesday night too, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. Okay, let's go, go, go. Sunday, I got an open house. Got people before, got people afterwards. They want to meet about a bill job. It just goes on and on and on. And so it's not a healthy environment to be in for decades and decades. So I think that's really what I wanted to kind of talk to you about today, or talk with you
Yes.
about, is that concept. That concept is, how do we, as agents, real estate brokers, live a life that we don't work every night and weekend? When I first started, there's a thrill to the hunt, right? We're in sales, and we
Right.
want to help people. We want to be there for them no matter what. You can count on me. I'll be there. And so that puts you into that position where they say 7 o'clock Thursday night, you say yes. If you say no, then like, well, geez, then I'll get somebody else. So I'm not going to
Right.
wait on you. And so I've watched all my agents go to this point of burnout. And then my big agents would come in like usually about June, maybe July.
Okay.
And they would sit there and the guys want to fight. They're like, I can't take it anymore. This is ridiculous. Something's got to give here. And then the women would come in, they get mad too. And then they start choking up, like, I just can't keep this pace. I just can't. I mean, I can't. I will, but I can't. I don't like. So, but they'll never say that in public, and they'll never admit to that. And I always said, people say, well, he's really successful. She's really successful. I always say, well, they go to the spouse and find out what that success looks like. Because in this industry, Rick,
Yeah.
we give out awards for production. It's a production business. You got to
Right.
do a certain amount to pay your broker. You got to do that. I get that. But we give awards and accolades and all this stuff to people who produce really big numbers. And it takes a bunch of effort, energy, and mass amounts of time to produce those numbers.
Right.
So I wouldn't take away anything from my big producers or anybody big producers. They do. They put in the hours and they haul it and they do it and they get burned out and they get mad and they don't like it, but they'll get over it in a few weeks. They'll be back on the trail and they're hunting out again. And um, so it's an industry crisis to me. And I think it's always been like that. And so you look at the spouse, say how to go. Spouses, a lot of them just say, hey, you know what? This is the industry that my husband or my wife's in. This is the way it works. This is the way it goes. You just have to say, okay, you buy in and you let it go. You just have to understand. I don't think that there is other ways to do it. You don't have to do that, but most of them do. And most of the industry we real estate brokers are in, it's get to the end of the year, chest is all out at the end of the year, and I did 18 million or 16 or whatever the number is. I made $450,000, whatever it is, and we give you accolades for that. Now you go on the backside, and like I spent every night, and not every night, but a lot of weekends and a lot of nights chasing down, helping people.
Right.
So I always say that too. Friday night comes, you had dinner planned with your wife and 2 other couples or your children, and your call comes in 7:30 for a $500,000 house. They want to see it 7:30 Friday night, and you already had your plan set for a couple of weeks. It's a 15K check. What are you going to do? The majority of agents will probably say, honey, I'm so sorry. I had an opportunity here. I got to go take care of this person. Versus basically saying, no, I'm going to go ahead and, I'll how about tomorrow or whatever it is. So that's what I've seen over the 28, 30 years is people just running and running and running and running. And with the buying of leads, which is changing and morphing right now, but that put everybody into just even more of a now, you got to go.
Right.
So so to me, Rick, there's two factions. There's an abundance mentality that business can be done through, and mentality, state of mind, and there's a scarcity mentality. And I would say 90+% of agents work in a scarcity mentality, not because they choose to, it's just that's what the industry presents.
Right.
You're working off of social media platforms, you're working off of advertisements of some type to try to attract people to you, or you're buying leads of some kind, and so all those methodologies tend to trying to attract people to come to you, and when they come to you, you got to respond. You can't say, well, gosh, sorry, I spent all this effort, energy to get you to come to me, and then I got dinner 7:30 on Friday night with my daughter, and I can't go with you. Sorry. You can't. You're going to like, okay, yeah, I spent this effort. I got somebody, I would say spider webs. You put your spider webs all up, something hits, vibrates, and you got to go after it. It's an opportunity. So the abundance mentality that I've learned to live with over the years, and half my career's been in the scarcity mentality, and half my career's been in the abundance mentality. Which is working by private recommendations. And that is a whole nother world. That is completely the opposite of what I used to do and what most agents do, is working by private recommendations only. Now I do only. A lot of agents don't do only. I mean, I 100% do not work off the street, as I call it. And I mean, I can prove the point how I drew a line in the sand to my family, to myself, and my health, and my wife, and everything years ago. And how much that line means something to me is I remember last summer pulling up to my office here, and a call comes in to my car, and I was in a mood, so I thought I usually don't take calls if I don't know that my name's not on there. I don't take because I don't do advertise. I don't advertise out there in the open market.
Right.
So I hit this number, and the lady said, "Hey, we got your name from off the internet. We saw the website that you had, and you have experience, and you've been around a while, and we'd like to use you. We're moving back from Texas to Fort Wayne, and we'd like to use you. And we're price range. She went right with about 750 to 850, and we'd love to have you help us." And I didn't even hesitate. I was like, "Gosh." So you got my name off the website. Yep. Okay. So you know what? Please, whatever. Don't take this wrong. I've committed to my family and my wife that I would work by private recommendations only. And so you really haven't been recommending me, but I have an understudy that does excellent work. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd recommend you to him, and I will be on the backside making sure that he's taking care of you well. Would that be okay? And she said, sure, that'd be great. And so he landed a 744, and not that the numbers matter, but I mean, he landed a big deal, and he had a big check,
Right.
and I didn't take anything from it. I said, just it's all yours. You take care of it. And she was fine on the backside of all that, so it worked out well. But I'm willing to let go of that. I don't care if it's $1 million deal, it's a $30,000 check. I'm willing to let go of that because I know my life is more in control. It's more calm. I don't do a lot of nights and weekends. There's a whole systematic approach to this whole thing. But I think when you work by private recommendations, if you can get that going, and there's a whole methodology behind that, you got trust. Every relationship starts with trust. You and
Right.
your spouse, your best friend, you and anybody, you and the teacher, the professor, everybody, it's all trust. So when you work off the street, the social media platforms, and well, I think that stuff's cool. I mean, it's a whole module. There's a whole world in that world. Not just social media, but the buying of leads. There's a whole system how they filter that back down, and the teams are built, and the whole thing's cool. But that whole atmosphere creates a 50-50 shot. I'm to me, I look at it and watch my agents do it. They're creating all these pieces to try to get someone to come to me, and it's a 50-50. I don't know you, you don't know me. I saw a little bit about you. I'm calling you to help me in some way, buy or sell or build. So it's a 50-50. I'm going to go meet you. We're going to try to start a relationship. I'm going to try to start from scratch and build some trust, and so that you believe in me, and then I can help you do what you want to do. Whereas on the other side, I try to create an environment through working by private recommendations that you call me and say, can you help me? And then I end up going through a consult. I already have some trust because John said to call you, Scott. And so now I got, at least I start with some little element of trust,
Right.
which is zero from the other side. It's like, I don't know you. Here I do know you a little. Somebody said you did a good job. So I got this much trust. Then my whole thing is I bring you into a buyer consultation or a seller consultation. 1000%. I will never, ever, and I haven't for years, work with you if you do not agree to sit down with me with a consultation. And the market's moving fast. Everybody says you can't do that, and the market's moving fast. I've done it every single time. All 5 years, it's been going crazy. I've done it every single time because the recommendation says, hey, I think you're worth, spending some time with.
Right.
You're good at what you do. I will give you the 45 minutes, even though I want to go see that house right afterwards. That's fine. It's fair enough. So that consultation has some trust in it. And all I got to do is get that consultation. It's all about you. It's all about what is it you want to accomplish? What are you trying to achieve? What's your dates? Have you been to the lenders? Do you know what the lenders' differences are? We talk about all the things in the market conditions and how it's looking, set all the expectations out correctly. And then I'm trying to take that trust from here to here. Once I get this trust, you trust me that I'm going to do the right thing for you. I'm listening to what you want. Then I'm going to go ahead and take that and I can lead. I can lead you through. You want to go buy a house? I can lead you to buy a house, but you got to follow my lead. I've done this 1,000 times. You've done it 5 or 6, maybe. I don't know in your lifetime. I've got a good feel for it, and especially the market conditions we've been in the last 5 years. So I need to lead you. I need you to. When I suggest these are the 4 things you could do, or here's the best, thoughts in wanting to achieve what you're trying to achieve, they usually will follow it. And that's hard to get when you get off the street. You got a 50-50. They trust you a little. They don't know. You try to build it. And then when you get to the offer and they're telling you this is what I want to do, and you're like, it'd be better if we did this, or maybe we had 2 options on doing it this way. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. Oh, okay. You just don't have as much influence off the street when you're trying to build trust from scratch
Right.
versus working with that recommendation piece that there's some trust. You need to do the consultation correctly, get good at them, and get a heart to heart going a little bit there at the end of the consultation and get this thing to trust, this trust up where now I can help lead you what you want. So that's kind of really, and then you're like, my clients don't call me and say, hey, 7:30 on Friday night, I want to see this house. They never do. They would call me up and say, hey, Scott, if I saw a house, when's a good time that we can get over to look at it? I know the market's moving fast. I say, let me call the agent real fast and see if they're actually going to make a decision tonight or not. You can always get bid on that. There's always, but you handle that during the consultation. I may lay out the expectations of the consultation. The market's moving fast. We may not be able to see every house that we want to get to. It may be sold before we can get there. I mean, that's just the way that it is right now. So I don't like it, but that is where the reality is. I mean, you can't be
Right.
available 24/7 every single second that somebody decides that they want to pull you into their life, that you got to drop everything you got going right now and go. And that's just impossible to think that way. So, but again, if you're working off the street, somebody else will.
Yeah.
Somebody else will drop everything they got going and they will go service that client no matter what. Especially the bigger the client, the bigger the check, the more the motivation is to go now. And so that has always plagued our industry, I think.
Yeah.
That people
I
are
think
willing to just jump and run, man. So
yeah, that's a tough thing. I want to find out more about it, but if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, maybe your team or maybe an agent has a question about this, what's the best way to get a hold of you or your team?
it's my phone number. It's my leave me a voicemail. I can tell you all about that too next. But 260-705-6500. That's my cell. And that's only people use that cell typically are clients. So I'm good with that. And just leave a voicemail. I always tell my clients too in the consultation, look, I drew a line in the sand too years ago, several different lines. One was when I'm with a human, I'm with a human. I don't carry this thing with me. I don't carry this thing around
Right.
with me. I'm not one of those people. I've learned to not look at this. If I'm with you, I'm with you. Because I've lost two brothers that were, I'm a family of, I'm the bottom of 7 kids, and my oldest sister was 81. Um, so I've, time is precious. Time you can't get back. Once it goes, it goes. You can't do it. Everybody gets that. And so I am with a human. I'm with a human. If I'm showing houses, I'm showing houses. I am not checking my phone. I never have my phone at closings. I never have my phone at showings. I have to carry my phone up to the door sometimes because they want to use the app. And if I do, I do. And then I put it back in my car. Or I turn it off and put it in my pocket. I don't even like that. I've gotten so used to not carrying my phone. So my clients know that though, because I'm working off recommendations. I'm working with a calmer clientele and they trust me. And so I say, if you call me and I'm not able to pick up, it's because I'm with somebody, I'm in a meeting, I'm trying to help another person. So please feel free to leave a detailed voicemail and I will definitely always get back to you. I will never not. So don't think because he didn't pick up. I explain that in the consultation to set the correct expectation out. And so all my clients know to leave voicemails. They leave a voicemail for me, and I always listen to it, and I always get back to them. So in the worst case, I'll get back to you tomorrow. You
Yeah.
take away the sense of urgency when you get off the scarcity mentality. You do. You take that whole thing away. All the atmosphere leaves, and the new atmosphere comes in where it's, hey, trust, and there's patience, and we understand the market's moving fast, but yet we need to do the right steps. We need to sit down and talk about
Right.
what are you trying to accomplish, and can I actually help you? I mean, there's times I have consultations and I feel like I can't help you. I'm not in a position to help you the way you need to be helped. It's not always a good match,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And the people, I've only had a few that really are in that abundance mentality where they
Mm-hmm.
just, and it eliminates a lot of stress and everything. I don't know, everything always works out.
In the overall big picture of life, it's time. The most
Right.
precious thing is money in the beginning. You need money. You got to have money to buy a car, house, and raise kids and put them to college. And you got to get all that money going. I get it. But then once you get enough money going, then it becomes time. I want my time back. That's the most successful people I know. That's the ultimate end is can I get my time back? I've got plenty of
Right.
money. I can raise money. I can make money. I know how to do it, but now I want my time back. I don't want to
Yeah.
spend all this time to get this much money. And that's the age old question is where does it start and stop? Where's the
Yeah.
balance? And that's what most in the beginning you don't even care about the balance. You just want to get the career going and get the clients going. But I think once you
Right.
learn to work off your database, which I think I listened to your podcast from last week. Um, I do call my clients. That's the only I get fed whatever my clients feed me, whatever my past clients, my database feeds me by me calling them and checking on them is what I get. That's my income every year. And anything comes off the street, I give it to other people. I don't work it off the
Okay.
street stuff. Sign calls I don't do. I rarely, it has to be a special exception for me to double pop a property. I mean, be on the selling side and the buying side both. I
Right.
have to have
Right.
really good feeling about the whole thing for me to go down that path and walk that line. It's rare, but I mean, I've done it, but it's got to be a circumstance that makes sense for everybody involved that I would do it.
Yeah.
And
The
so I'm
tough.
not, so I, there's agents that look at me like, it's ridiculous that you give stuff away. Why would you? Because I got my time back. My
Right.
evenings and my weekends are pretty good. I don't spend a lot. If I spend time on the night or weekends because I'm choosing to do it because the circumstances prevails that I have to. I choose like we can make another exception, but you know what? I'm saying let's just go do this. Let's get it done right now. And usually it's always Saturday morning. I try to shut down by 1. Even if a house pops up in the market at 4 o'clock, I'm they're seeing it. They're calling me. I'm calling the agent. Going, what are you up against? What are you going to do? Are you going to shut this thing down at 6 o'clock tonight? Or are you going to go to some Monday or Sunday? What are you up against? And then I'm trying to advise my client and say, we got time on Monday to go look at this, or we got time on Sunday to go look at this.
Right.
So yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
calmer atmosphere when you work off your database, and the database respects you. It's a respectful business. I think the other thing you get out of this is they respect your opinion. They ask you what you think, and they go with your guidance. I mean, I think we are professionals. We are. You're coming to me saying, hey, I want to invest three or four, five, $6,000, $8,000, $800,000 in the market. That's what you're asking me to do is help you invest that kind of thing in the market. My job is to guide you in that best possible way to get the best return on that over the long haul, the short haul, whatever it is you're up against. So I think that's why we should take it. I take it seriously. It's not something we want to do nights and weekends. I don't think it's. Would you go to a stockbroker, take $400,000, 7:30 on Thursday night to a
No.
stockbroker?
No.
Yeah. Or Saturday afternoon at 4 o'clock when he's watching a ball game or what? No. So I think elevating ourselves to think of us as professionals. We're licensed by the state of Indiana. Accountants and doctors, attorneys, we're all real estate brokers. We're the same thing. We have to go get a state license to operate. And so if you start elevating yourself to think that way, you're not just this. Go. Open the door for me. I'm gonna tell you what I want to do. I'm gonna tell you, how it works, and I'm gonna tell you what I want to write, and I'm just how it's gonna go. This is the dates are. This is what I want. That's hard. That's difficult. It's hard to do, and that's what you start out doing. And then as time passes, you learn to build a database. You learn to get some respect. You learn to get trust, and when trust comes, you can lead them down the path, and they'll take your suggestions. And they're not going to make you jump and run. They're going to understand you have a family, you have a life, and we respect you. So we will work with what you can do. It's a
Yeah.
really cool thing.
It sounds like one of the big things is you set the expectation up
Mhm.
front.
You do.
Is that important?
That the consultations, every one of those consultations. That's why when I first get like people call me and say, Scott, I got a name from John, and I'm really looking for his 2 points, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I try to stop them. I do stop them. I say, you know what? Honestly, John gave me your name, he recommended you to me. And the way to honor John and to not let John down is for me to have a consultation with you, sit down with you for 45 minutes or so, and let's go over what it is you're trying to accomplish. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? And they all go, yeah, no, okay. They don't want
Right.
to, but sometimes like, yeah, no, all right, we'll do it. And every time when I get to that consultation, I've got 2 pages, 3 pages of written up material that I've walked them through. They're glad they did. They're glad they took the time to sit down and really get a perspective on everything that's going on and what the big plan is and what we're going to do, how we're going to accomplish what you want. You can't call an attorney up and say, write up a lawsuit. I'll sign
Right.
it. You have a problem. You come in and sit down and let's talk about what your problem is, and we'll see if we can solve it for you. We'll see if it's worth taking on a case or not. Some people threat to sue people like, you got to get an attorney that agrees with it or sees
Right.
it the way you see it and willing to go down the path with you. So same thing with real estate. They want to go buy something. Well, let's sit down and talk about what are you trying to achieve, and do you have the money and all the things that you put into this to find out where it is if you can help you or not. There's people you can't help, and so you
Right.
avoid a lot of the wasted time, a lot of energy by having the consultation. And in the consultation, you set the expectations as to how you work. I tell them how realtors work and how I don't work the way realtors work because you go all damn day. I don't say damn, but you go all day at your job, working 8 to 5, spending energy and time energy. Are you still sharp at 5 o'clock as you were at 9:30 in the morning or 10? Are you on point like crazy at that time? Some people are night people. I get it. But the bulk of humans, the world goes off the time clock of night and day. And as
Right.
we get Closer to the evening, we get less sharp. All the problems I used to try to solve for my agents, most of those mistakes are made on the contract or made in statements, miscommunication, came in the evenings, came on the weekends when they're already kind of burned out. They want some time to relax. I say this too, Rick. Well, then why did in the economy of the United States of America and the 8 to 5 job, why don't we work 7 days a week? Why don't we? We don't. Somebody said Monday and Friday is a good time to stop. Monday start and Friday stop and give you 2 days. Well, what's the 2 days
Right.
for? Well, they're to rejuvenate, to relax, to have some downtime, and then key back up for Monday. That's not the way realtors do it. Realtors think,
No.
no, it's 7/24. I'm available all the time, and I make mistakes all the time. and you're tired. You're trying to handle the largest transaction of their life at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever it is at night, because you can't say no to them because you're working off the street. You haven't been able to get to your database and get that thing well oiled and bringing referrals to you that trust you, and then make that whole world's a whole different world to live in. And that's what I would love to cultivate everybody do. But I've already tried to teach 60 some people to do it, and nobody will do it. The one thing that I do when I call, I'll say, hey, Rick, Scott, Malcolm. I say, so how you guys been doing? If they pick up, good, good, good. How's the house? We are in the business of selling houses.
Right.
So I have contractors. I have plumbers, electricians. I have flooring people and painters and roofers. And I have all those people that when somebody calls me to fix the house up, I bring all my people in or whatever I need and then give them bids. And if they say yes, then we go through and we fix the house up, ready for sale. I've carried those. I had a coach one day, years ago. I've had 3 different coaches, but the one coach is like, why don't you tell all your clients that? You're in the business. That's what you do. You sell housing.
Right.
So you got contractors that fix up houses to sell. Why don't you just offer that to all your people all the time? So that's what I do. That's my icebreaker when I call my clients. I say, look, I got carpenters. I name them. I name all the stuff off, not all, but I name 5 or 6 of them. And then just saying, look, spring's coming. If you need carpet, you need painter to paint the house, you need anything, let me know. I'm an option for you. I'm a resource. As opposed to you just asking, you can ask me. I have contractors that can help you maintain your home as you live there. It's a great idea to do in case something comes up someday you want to sell. So that's the concept. And so I say, how do you need anything for the house? And then I always sit there and say, you know what? You already know this, but I work off private recommendations only and have for years. And so if you know anybody at work, church, you got to know if they go to church or not, coworkers, neighbors, and family. If you have anybody in those circles that's thinking about selling or buying this coming spring or summer, let me know. I'd love to help them, and promise you I will do an excellent job and will not let you down. And so that's it. You just say, do you need any help keeping your house maintained? I have contractors who can help you. And then secondly, do you give, and then you ask. So, and I get people say on the spot, Scott, I do have a friend at work. He just talked about it, and he's thinking about, I'll have him give you a call. So it's pretty cool when you can work that methodology. And my whole budget for advertising is like this. I mean, I don't, I have attorney friends and the same thing. They grew up the whole industry of attorneys never advertised. It was shunned upon. You would not,
Right.
you had to go off your own reputation as an attorney firm. And you went by recommendations only. It was taboo. To go out there and advertise was like, oh my gosh, you're embarrassing the whole market. But they've all gotten acclimated now to that. So,
Yes.
but bulk of people, it came from that idea that you don't advertise, you don't have to, but you have to ask. You can't just assume that you did a great job and people are going to come to you. That is never true. It's true, but it's not the full truth. The full truth is you have to work at proactively going after getting referrals to come and produced to you.
Yeah.
If you don't actively pursue it, they'll trickle in. Everybody I've ever talked to, I work by referral. Everybody works by referral. Everybody gets referrals. We all do. And that's a great thing. And everybody will admit those are cleaner and easier to work with than off the street where you have
Right.
to try to get that up. So it's another world to try to cultivate. And if everybody did it, that's where the abundance comes in. I don't have to go out there and fight on the street, convince you to work with me. Well, what comes in next is, well, then you're 6%. Can you do it for 5? You're a commodity at this point. You're not.
Right.
I don't really know you that well. And you do all this marketing, you do all this marketing. Okay, how about, can you do it for 4? I got him doing it for 5. So that's what happens. All of a sudden, now you're chopping the money down. Now you're working for less
Right.
than you're really worth. And I hate that. I've had such
Yeah.
good agents in my office over the years that, come in and say, hey, I'm going to list this house. It's a really beautiful home, blah, 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 blah. And I'll say, so what are you going to charge? And I know this agent's excellent. They got, decade and a half of experience. They know how to handle inspections. They care. A lot of agents care. Most agents that our industry care. Bulk of them do. They really care about taking care of you. But they just know how to navigate a contract. They know how to navigate an inspection process. They know how to navigate the entire deal, and they're good at it. And I know they're good at it because I've been coaching them, and not coaching them, but I've been watching them produce, for 6, 7, 8 years.
Right.
And I know in my office there's agents that have more experience and less experience, and yet you can come out of school, get your license, and go charge 6%. I mean, we can't say all that stuff, but you charge the same amount of money somebody's charging after they've been in for 15, 20 years. That's not, I don't believe
Yeah.
in that. I've never believed in that. And an attorney with 5 years experience does not charge the same amount
No.
per hour as somebody who's got 30
Right.
years or 20 years or 50. He does not. And why is that? It's the experience level of the attorney can walk you through a lawsuit and keep you off the cliffs. He knows he's got experience like that. He's gone through that cliff many, many times, walked right up, not going to get you in there. Same with real estate transactions. They're easy when they're easy. Everybody can do an easy one. It's when it gets tough and something goes skewed and something goes left and something doesn't work. Then the experience comes in to keep that expectation set correctly and keep everybody going down the path the right way and eventually getting to where we need to all go with the closing table. So that's where I think experience matters. I think, working the referral system really, really works better for your life and for experience levels of helping other agents, and then trying to teach that to other agents is tough. They it's just tough. They want to go and have fun. They want to go run fast, and I get it. I did too. But at one point, I got tired of running fast, and I thought I need
Yeah.
to run smart.
I think it's probably a
So
little scary too. But one of the things you said that I find a lot, it's not just real estate agents, but in a lot of sales industries, it's asking for referrals. And most people, or not most, there are many people who just are uncomfortable asking for that referral. And
absolutely.
it shouldn't be
Uh,
that way. How does
Especially after
somebody
you
get
spend
over
three,
that?
4 months. Spent three,
Yeah.
4 months with them, getting to know who they are. I always call back after I let them get there for about a month. I'll tell them, hey, in about a month, I'm gonna let you settle in, I'll check on you. And then I just call. So I've had agents say, "What I want to call them because what if something went wrong?" It's exactly what you want to find out. You want to find out what went wrong if something did, and then jump right in that, run as fast as you can right at that, and try to say,
Yep.
what is it? What went wrong? What can I do to help? What can I do? If it ends up being you, then you learn from that. You don't do that again. You don't put yourself in that
Yeah.
position next time. You don't. So I always call a month later, then I'll call 6 months, and then I'll put them in my rotation. My rotation, I call everybody every spring and every fall. I go through calls and database, and I write notes to people. I do all the handwritten note files, the phone call. Thanks for taking time to talk to me. If I can ever help you with anything you need or any contractor help, let me know. Um, it's such a simple system, and it's so inexpensive to run. And the relationships you get with all your clients is fulfilling. I mean, you know their kids to some level. You know who's going to college and who's not. I call log. I sit right here at this my office, and I make my 4 proactive calls every morning, Monday through Thursday, and I'll make my little notes on what the conversation was. I'll write the note the next day, comment about something that we talked about, and then I go on to the next 4 and the next 4, and you start getting depth of relationships. And once you get depth of relationship, they learn to trust you even more and more after you've already spent 3, 4 months with them. That relationship just kind of keeps going, but you're not bugging them. Everybody says, "Well, I'm not going to bug my clients. I'm not going to beg for work." Well, then go off the street. I mean, that's it. Go back out in the
Yeah.
street, do your thing, and run your nights and weekends, and go on vacation and stay on the phone because you can't. Everybody goes on vacation. They stick calling. They keep working. They just what they do. That's you
Yeah.
have that option, and that's what 90% of the agents take. They take the option of just because at the end of the year, I think they want to get up and say, "Look at me. I
Yeah.
did 8 million, made 4,000." I'd rather make less than that and then still have a really good living, but yet still have a life that I can spend my nights and weekends mostly with my family and doing what I need to do, go on vacations and not have to work all the time. And
Right.
and so that's why I say it's an unhealthy. It's the best business to be in. It's the worst business to be in. Unless you can control it. And the only way to control it is to work by private. For me, my best way to control it is work by private recommendations. And you have to look at how to work that system to get that up and run. That's an 80-20. All the other ones are 50-50. You don't know each other. You're just taking a shot. I'm spending money, energy, effort trying to get this all going. It's really cool. It's fun. And when they come to me, I don't know you. It's a 50-50. When I do all my energy, which is just making calls and building relationships and going deeper each year with relationships, I got an 80-20. I bet you by the time they come to me, it's an 80% chance they're probably going to stick with me after I have a
Right.
consultation for sure. And so then I put 20% of the energy in to get 80% of my efforts. I 20% effort, put in all the energy, and I get 80% production. These other people put 80% of all the effort in to get 20% production out of it.
Right.
It's a neat way to go. It's a smart way to go. I think it's It's just I wouldn't do it any other way. And I think the other
Yeah.
thing I'll speak real quickly about is finances. I don't know if you know, but it's close to 70% of all realtors across the country, United States of America, are behind in taxes or catching up on
Yeah,
taxes.
that I'm not surprised. I hear
It's 7 out of
agents
10
talk about it.
Yeah, they're always behind taxes because we get paid the whole chunk, and we have maybe hadn't had closing, and we're budgets like we don't even have a budget, but the amount of money we need is like this. And so they're using that, and they'll catch up. And so that's an indicator right there that we also have a mentality of we have to chase these checks. Seven on
Right.
Friday night, I'll take this. I need the money because I'm not good at money. I don't want to say that, and no one and nobody wants to admit that, but they're not. They do not know how. I remember going to a lady and I said, "Look, I'm gonna lay my pride down, and I'm gonna tell you right now that I can make good money, and I don't know where it goes. I'm one of those guys. It's gonna be embarrassing to say that." And I said it. I don't know where it goes. I do, but I don't. So I gave her my budget. She goes, so I showed her my budget, everything that I owed. She goes, "Scott, this is not a budget. This is just what you owe. This has nothing to do with the budget." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "You have a dog. You said you have a dog. You get haircuts. You say you go to Home Depot on the weekends and buy stuff for the house. You fix up things. I mean, none of that's in here." So I spent several months trying to every penny that comes in for commission checks, you should know where they all go out. Where does every one of these go out? I know they come in. I see the big check come in, and I take taxes out of that, and then I cut it up into 9 different accounts, and I can control everything. I have really true budgets now for spending account, for business account, for personal account, and more investment accounts and everything else. But until I could control money, I was still chasing checks. Even in my own business of doing my personal recommendation business, I still was trying to make sure that that money. I needed the money, and when I started really getting into this, trying to really just work off private recommendations only, nothing off the street at all. That's the same day that I said I need to finance. I need to understand every penny, and so that made me calm down, and the whole thing got under control. So now my business is in control, my finances are in control, and life is easy. And I don't if I don't sell something for 3 4 months, I don't really care. I do care, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm not having to put up with people who treat me poorly. I usually sniff that out right in the consultation. That's why I do the consultations partly. So, if they're not going to trust me and if I can't get trust with you, I can't work with you. It's just flat out the way it is. I just can't.
Right.
I'm not going to because it's going to end up being a nightmare. I've seen too many red flags go up, and I know what a red flag looks like. I had one, then I have two. I'm going to probably just back out. But that whole life gets simpler and easier when you can control your life. You can, with your business, you control your finances. And nobody does. It's hard also to teach that too, is how to control finances. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
listen.
Well, it sounds like that's first,
Oh, duh. Yeah, I think so too.
right?
It would be if you can control 100 bucks, you control 1,000. You control 1,000, you control 10,000. You control a million. So yeah, you should know. But nobody does. They don't teach it. They don't. I mean, a true budget is really complicated at first, and then once you get it understood, there's multiple budgets, not just one. There's always holes in the boat. I always say there's holes in the boat. The boat's trying to go and it's dragging water. And so, the last hole usually is spending, personal spending. Just what do you spend money on when you go
Right.
get a coffee? Where do all those pennies go? And I remember my wife and I adding up the first time going to dinners. When I first started this years and years ago, $847 I think was averaged in going out to eat in a month. Just going to nice places and eat on Saturday night and Friday night and going out on Saturday afternoon and Sunday and maybe Tuesday night we'll go out and. I mean, that's enough money just blowing eating, which we still blow money eating, but not to that level anymore.
Yeah.
So even though we have now we could do even more, but we just choose not to. We put those things towards real goals and real things that are going to try to get us to financial independence.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're running out of
when
time.
you
Go ahead.
go ahead. Well, when you first said, you've been 30 or some years, I always kid about that. Nobody retires in this business either.
That's
This
right.
is not a common business to get to 60 years old and say, I'm good, because you didn't know how to control money. You couldn't control your clients. And so it's out of control. And then you just work till you can't. It's common in industry is to work till you just can't anymore. And I don't like that either, because you have deals with older people, and I'm getting there. Um, but you ask them 3 questions and then they come back with an answer or two. Like, no, 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 no. I get to watch you slowly not be as sharp,
Yeah.
slowly deteriorate little by little by little. And you probably just at one point, you just can't even be service to your client anymore. You're just too old. You're 87 years old, still trying to do something. So that's why I say, I think the earlier we can teach people money, the earlier we can teach them to get into their own abundance mentality with their own clientele, which gives them respect, which and then you can control everything. Life gets clean, it gets simple, it gets easier, and you can put a plan together to retire and stop working for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
get out of this business. We want exit strategies, and that's what part of EXP does. EXP gives us an exit strategy.
And I
So
never got the EXP because I wanted to, because I know that's a
that's okay.
big piece of it. But and it's
Yep.
funny because my son, who is he's in finance in Chicago, he told me one time, I can't remember what it was college or something, and he goes, "Well, Dad, your problem was you didn't have a good exit strategy. That's why I'm not
Yeah.
paying you back."
Or none.
Yeah, that's
And no exit
exactly.
strategy.
You don't do
Yeah,
an
and
exit
then
strategy.
EXP came along and said, we have a couple of exit strategies for you too.
Yeah,
So I think you can have your own. I mean, I have one too, and I've been putting money with a financial advisor, and that's all going along. But the more financial independent you become, there's nothing wrong with being financially independent. Being able to live off your own means,
right.
you know, that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with that's a good thing. And we all want to try. We all should try to strive to get there, to get off of the pieces. We go to get
Yeah,
employment to work, and a third party is going to pay us.
right.
As long as we work for them, they'll pay us. Here we work for ourselves. And at this time, the market says we want you to do this, and versus trying to work off recommendations, you can control this environment that you've got.
Yeah,
I think that's another thing. We'll do another podcast maybe someday, but there's more to talk about. But yeah, there's a whole nother strategy. But overall, I think just working by referral has calmed my life down and made my life way more. We spend 2.5 months in Florida. I still work down there. I designate days that I'm going to work and hours that I'm going to work on those days. I'm put those earbuds in, and I'm making calls, I'm talking to my clients, and I'm building relationships. I'm putting them in the computer. I mean, I'm making my notes, and I'm writing cards.
yeah,
That's what I do. I don't have to react to something that comes in right away. I can just say, hey, I'll call you tomorrow. Let's set up a time for 45-minute Zoom call. Let's talk about what it is you're trying to do. I do my consultations on Zoom. Then I
yeah.
have boots on the ground here that can actually do the physical work of getting them in the house. Although I'm on the camera, they do take the phone then and put them on the camera, and then I walk through them with them. So it's still pretty cool
Yeah.
because I'm not
It's
working
a,
off the script where it says if you don't take this call, somebody else will. I don't have that issue.
yeah. What's
So
amazing is that what you do, it's not easy, but it's simple, right?
what's simple to do is also simple not to do.
Yes, and
That's
you
what's
call people, and there's so many people who won't call people, even their ex-clients. They won't call. I don't understand it, but we won't get into
They're
that
just nervous,
now.
they're scared. What do I say? And I said,
Yeah,
that's what you say. You say, look, I've got contractors that can help you. Would you like anything? Let me know.
right.
You got to be specific too. The more specific you can be, the better off you are. But yeah, if anybody wants to call me, leave a voicemail. I probably won't pick up right away. I'm doing from one thing to the next. But overall, I would love to talk to agents
Okay,
about how to
perfect.
control your life, how to control your business, and,
And what's the
and
best
form an
number
exit
to get a
strategy.
hold of you at?
Yeah, the 260-705-6500. You can text me on that or call me on that.
All right, perfect.
Yep,
And
Scott Malcolm.
to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call 317-672-1938. It's 317-672-1938. And please follow us so you don't miss any Indies Real Estate Gurus. And Scott, thank you so much for joining us. I was really excited. I really wanted to hear your story, and it was better than I thought. So this was, uh,
Great. Appreciate it.
you did awesome. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. Yep. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Well, everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Rittman's NMLS number 664589. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.